Not all of us have the time, energy, or money to grab both the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5, and I'm here to help you make your choice. So if you had to pick between one of them, which one should you go after? Stay tuned. I will be going over different features on each, the user experience and the game exclusive to each. Just as a disclaimer, I have both my PS5 and Xbox Series X from day one. So from November up to now, it's been a good 6 months with these consoles and enough insight to sit here and talk about them. So the first thing we are going to look at is the consoles themselves. In terms of aesthetic, I mentioned it before, everyone will have their different preferences. Some might like the poppy, sci-fi looking, tower build of the PS5 where it sits massively in your gaming area, and others might find the sleek and minimalistic tower of the Xbox Series X as more preferable, as it can easily blend in beside the TV and speakers. The next thing you want to take a look at is overall horsepower both consoles have to offer, and the Series X is technically more powerful. It is running off of RDNA 2 architecture, whereas PS5 is a hybrid between RDNA 1 and 2, so yes, we can see the Series X is more powerful in comparison to its competitor. But the important question is, how easy is it for developers to tap into that horsepower? So when we are looking at the PS5, the development kit was relatively unchanged, transitioning from the PS4 to the PS5, whereas Series X is a drastic change of relation to the Xbox One. What this means is that developers are going to have to relearn how to implement things on the Series X side, but the point to be noted is once developers become familiar with the Series X development kit, there are certain things that make the game development far easier in the long run on the Series X. Now, if there's one thing that irritates the hell out of me when it comes to the PlayStation 5, it's its limited storage capacity and its limited storage expansion capabilities. Not only do you have a smaller SSD in the PS5, you're also limited in terms of how much storage you get access to in that. So we're talking about 680 gigs of storage when things are said and done. Obviously, that's a problem considering how massive these next-gen games are in terms of space they occupy, but we can use a USB to store games on them, but we won't be able to play games off of them. Now, when we take the Series X, we get more storage on the SSD, roughly around 850 gigs. In addition, you also have expandable storage that can provide an extra 1 terabyte disk space with speeds equivalent to internal drive. The Series X gives the users the option to expand the storage, whereas the PS5, it becomes much more complicated. And another thing we got to talk about when we talk about these consoles is the Series X has what we call Xbox Smart Delivery. So if you have a Series X, the console will install the Series X version of the game, and if you have an Xbox One, the console will install the Xbox One X version. And the PS5 just recently got the update which allows you to download the PS5 version on the PS5 console, but users also have the option to download the PS4 version of the game. So the difference between the two is the Series X just automates, whereas the PS5 gives gamers a choice. But I'd rather have it automated for me and not even have to worry about the different versions at all. Now, another big thing is cross saves, and I just want to kind of reiterate the fact that Xbox has implemented, or Microsoft has implemented, infrastructure on the Xbox that's far ahead of its time in regards to cross saves. What that allows you to do is access saves from different console versions with zero hassle, no hassle at all. But when we take a look at the PlayStation 5, that then becomes a bumpy road. Marvel's Avengers is a great example. If you had your PS4 version, there were quite a few workarounds to get the PS4 saved to your new console. This next one might be big for gamers who desire for high frame rate games. So the Series X supports more 120 frames per second games as Sony does at this particular time, and again, it's because it's easier to implement. On the Series X, it's a simple patch that the developer can implement, whereas the PlayStation requires you to rework the entire game and then upload the new version of that game. It takes a lot more effort to implement a 120 FPS game. It's up to the developer to implement it really on the PlayStation. Recently, we're also seeing a lot of FPS boost to all games on the Xbox using a simple patch. We are seeing this on the PlayStation well, but on their first-party titles like God of War. At the time I'm shooting this video, we've also seen a large amounts of third-party titles have been running considerably better on the Xbox Series X over the PlayStation 5. And this is something that is happening a lot more commonly as developers are getting familiar with the next generation tools. It seems that Biomutant, a game that has been hyped, is going to run really well on the Xbox Series X as well. We have even had the developer of the game bluntly stated the reason behind this performance difference is due to technical issues that the PS5 has attached to it. So Biomutant will only run 1080p on the PS5, and THQ has stated that 4K has been disabled due to stability and performance related reasons. So the game will run 1080p upscaled to 4K on the PS5, whereas on the Xbox Series X, the game will run at 4K 60 with dynamic resolution. So now that I've gone over the console and the infrastructure, if I were to pick one, I would definitely have to pick the Series X because its infrastructure and the console is way ahead of its time, right? And Sony has to play a lot of catch up simply to reach Xbox capability that have yet to be tapped in. So if we take the Series X controller, very little has changed. It's just an overall refinement. It has a share button now, and you are looking at textured grips, more refined triggers, and a better D-pad. You're just getting slight improvements on an already loved controller. In my opinion, I love the Field's controller. It's ergonomic, it fits well into the hands, and the offset thumbsticks just feel right. Now for the PS5 controller, it's a bit more beefier relative to the DualShock. It's a complete redesign, has advanced haptics and adaptive triggers, which let me tell you feel absolutely amazing when you're playing different games like Spider-Man and Returnal. Sony has done a great job in utilizing the haptic feedback into the gaming experience, and one thing that blew me right away was when I was playing Returnal, you could feel each exact raindrop in the game and splash of water through your controller, which was a totally phenomenal experience. It helps bring you closer into the game. But when we take a look at competitive games like Call of Duty, you might find that adaptive triggers become annoying. Also, the other big thing is we're already seeing cases of stick drift on the PS5 controller, and it's only been 5 to 6 months after release. But personally, I haven't experienced any of that as of yet. Well, for the overall verdict, if you want the best feeling controller, I would have to say Series X. In my opinion, it is the much more ergonomic one and refined to be the best at what it does. But if you're looking for the next gen experience, the PS5 controller is the one to go. Now you have information, you can make a choice. So now when we talk about games, both consoles have taken a drastically different approach, but Sony has set the bar extremely high. We are looking at games like Miles Morales, which was an amazing game. I absolutely love the gameplay experience and story offered in the game, and then we have Returnal with its beautiful and immersive story, and some amazing titles are coming out around the corner like Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart and Horizon Forbidden West look very promising. When we take to Series X, their first party titles have been iffy, especially the last few years, but things look as if it is going to change on the Xbox's front with huge studio acquisitions like Bethesda buying over 30 plus gaming studios. But right now, what games are actually on the horizon that you want to play on Series X? So we're looking at like maybe Halo Infinite, Avowed, Bright Memory, Hellblade 2, Stalker 2, and a lot more cool games coming out. PlayStation 5 also has a list of amazing titles to look out for, but one I am most looking forward to is God of War Ragnarok. Now the real hard hitter when it comes to consoles is Game Pass, which offers an amazing value for the consumers. So not only are you getting the Xbox games, but also PC games, and you're also looking at getting day one first party studio games from Microsoft on this platform. So from a value perspective, Game Pass is an easy win. Now the biggest differentiator is backwards compatibility, in which Xbox completely strikes a win relative to the PS5. PlayStation does have backwards compatibility, but most specifically on the PS4 range, and anything beyond that is extremely limited. Now here, when it comes to making a decision, really comes down to what kind of games you're looking forward to. Do you want the luxury of grabbing an older generation game, just put it into your console and play? It's up to you what games you're looking forward to, what exclusive you're most excited for, and the decision is entirely based on your choices. In conclusion, how I see it is Series X would be the go-to console to play third-party titles at its very best playable state, and also having the luxury to play some of your older games, where Sony's PlayStation 5 will be that console that you would use to exclusively play exclusive titles like God of War and Horizon Forbidden West. Hope this clarified any questions that you guys have had, and if it did, be sure to like this video, share this video with your friends and families, and make sure to subscribe to the Y Nation, because why not? Peace.